What I have here is a Stewart McDonald scraper. It's a luthier scraper. You can see how substantial that is in thickness, right? Compared to one of these traditional card scrapers, you can see those are flexible, some sort of spring steel. These are both Baco brand. And in use, you create a hook or a burr, right? And that's the cutting edge. There's tons of videos on how to produce that. I'm not going to show you that here. This one is by DFM Toolworks. This one's quite a bit thicker than these traditional ones. So this one works really well too. I love this guy. That one could use a new hook to produce that cutting edge. But on this guy, you don't bend it. Well, unless you're a gorilla. And actually you don't want to bend it. The cutting edge is actually produced when we sharpen it. When we grind it, we put a concave edge that's centered on this edge, and the grinding wheel produces a burr, and so that is what does the cutting. And this guy's getting dull. It's still, see, it's making sawdust. So let's sharpen this. Now this is a really interesting configuration. You can see these radiuses, very large radius, and I don't know, maybe a 3-inch, smaller one here. And then of course this side is straight. And you want to maintain that straightness. So this is a quality straight edge. You can check as you're sharpening to make sure you don't see any light and that edge remains straight and true. Let's go over to the grinder. All right, before we go over to the grinder, we're gonna get rid of this old burr. It's probably not consistent anymore. And kind of true up this edge. This needs to be nice and straight, right? So. Probably doesn't take much. Or something like this. Now it's nice and true, sharp edges, perfect 90. Now we can go to the grinder. So this is my old Sears Craftsman grinder. It's probably not all that good of a grinder, but with an aluminum oxide wheel in a fine grit, that's going to make a huge difference. That wheel is made of granulated aluminum oxide, and it's vitrified, which means as you're using it, it's consistently providing fresh grinding material. Yeah. And as opposed to those old conventional gray ones, these will run much cooler. And so you'll have, way less chance of losing your temper or the temper of the scraper. And you can see that I've modified the tool rest just to provide a nice platform for the scraper. Like I said, this is all that I use this grinder for. Okay, here you can see that platform, and I'm going to mark this edge because we want the diameter of that wheel or that curve to be dead center in the thickness of that scraper, which is about an 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter. But in actuality, the thickness of that scraper or the angle of the platform, the diameter of the wheel, none of that really matters. What really counts is that the curve of that grinding wheel be dead center on this scraper. And it's a little off. So I can just make a small adjustment. I can check it against that magic marker. Still off just a tad. Doesn't take much to move that, right? There we go. You can see that's starting to hit right in the middle. Maybe a tad more. There we go. Now we're hitting right in the center of that edge. And as always, safety first. I like starting with the radiuses just to kind of get a feel. And of course you want to be really smooth and consistent with your pressure, contacting the edge all the way around. Smooth, yeah. You can see how beautiful that's starting to look. And that creates the burr on the bottom edge. This makes a huge difference. And I just recently discovered magnets. No, kidding. I love magnets. Just 1001 uses, yeah. But it really helps hold the scraper and makes things much easier. So after going all the way around both edges, or all the edges on both faces, I should say, let's see how we did. All right, that's cutting fantastic, right? And you can see I skew it a little bit, skew it to the left and skew it to the right. That way, if it's starting to do like a washboard effect, that'll all even out. And there you have it, beautiful wispy shavings. The Stewart McDonald, the StewMac Ultimate Scraper. This thing's fantastic. I still use the traditional scrapers. And here you can see that beautiful concave or hollow grind edge. And so for me, it really depends on the task at hand with regard of which scraper I will reach for. If you want to cut something really flat, the StewMac is the ultimate tool for that. It doesn't leave a hollow like a card scraper can. Anyway, thanks a ton for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Oh, and incidentally, I don't have any monetary interest in this. I'm not sponsored. I just love sharing what works for me. Yeah?